Hey everybody, this is Chris back with another live video review of a piece that one of you has submitted. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the piece up. Here it is. I've actually already published this one, uh, but we're gonna go through it together. This is called Party of Seven. It's by Jessica Lucia, I think is how you pronounce that. And like I said, it is already published in my publication on Medium. Tell Your Story. We're gonna go through this together now. This is a good piece. Obviously, I published it. I really like it. I like all of Jessica's writing. She's a great writer. I encourage you to follow her on Medium and find her wherever else you can. Um, Lots of really good creative nonfiction she's appeared in. I think two of my print editions as well. So anyway, let's get into Party of Seven. Nice image. Party of Seven. We're already thinking probably this is some kind of a event or a fancy dinner or something like that. Probably a party, right? All right, here we go. The back room was decorated with gold and white balloons, a gift table covered in a gold tablecloth adorned with confetti and floral centerpieces. The first person I saw was Devin's best friend and maid of honor. We talked for about 10 minutes before people began settling at tables. Is this seat available? I asked her, pointing to an empty chair. I think Sarah is sitting there, but that one looks free, she said, pointing to a chair just a couple away from hers. All right, so one of the things I really like about this piece is just how Jessica drops us right into scene, right? There's no context. There's no, I was at such and such a bridal party, or what, I guess, is it a wedding? Yeah, it must be a wedding reception, right? She doesn't go into any of that. She starts by just describing the scene without telling us even what it is and letting us figure it out. And I love that. Um, Puts us right in the middle of things right away. Um, and it works really well. I began to sit when one of Devin's other bridesmaids, Jackie, who I knew from high school but was never close with, turned around and shook her head. This table is for Devin and the bridesmaids only, she said. Are you sure there's not an extra seat? Sarah asked. There are only enough chairs for the bridesmaids, Jackie stated adamantly. Okay, so there's something going on, and this is really just formatting. I would prefer Jessica use different paragraphs when she switches from one person speaking to the other, because really, when you read this table is for Devin and the bridesmaids only. She said, "Are you sure there's not an extra seat?" You're gonna read that as if Devin is saying all of that, right? And it's not till you get to Sarah asked that you realize, oh, this is Sarah. So it needs another paragraph. We need to go back and forth with the dialogue, a new paragraph each time it switches who's doing the talking. Okay, so I'm getting a little tied up in who these people are, I guess. So Devin is obviously the bride. Sarah is the person that the first person I saw. That's Sarah. Aha, I think. Oh no, wait. Sarah's somebody else. I think Sarah is sitting there. Okay, so there's a lot of different characters here, right? There's Sarah, there's Jackie, there's Devin, there's mystery person, the first person I saw, and then there's Jessica. So it's kind of confusing what's going on here. Sarah looked at me and mouthed, "I'm sorry." Maybe I've got this wrong. No, because this person up here is referring to Sarah, so this can't be Sarah. Anyway, you get my point. There's kind of too much. I think this could be simplified. Sarah looked at me and mouthed, "I'm sorry." Then Devin's mother walked over. Okay, now we got somebody else. We got Devin's mother. We'll sit right here, she said, gesturing toward the table right behind the bridesmaids. I turned around and put my purse on a chair as she introduced me to Devon's grandmother and aunts. Okay, now we got grandmothers and aunts, and that's probably okay. But it is confusing. I think this initial scene could be simplified. Devon walked in. So let me say that this is probably exactly how it happened, right? This is creative nonfiction. And Jessica's probably trying to tell the story exactly what happened. It's okay to take some creative license in order to make it easier on your reader, right? It's called creative nonfiction. You're allowed to play with some of the details a bit in order to still make the point, tell the story that make the point the story is trying to tell. Tell the story. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, as long as it's for the most part. You don't want to attribute behaviors to somebody real that didn't actually do those things. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to lie, but you can shade things a little bit just to make it more understandable. And I think that would be worth doing here. Okay. Devon walked in a few minutes later, and everyone stood to clap as the bridesmaids gathered for pictures. One of Devon's aunts. Okay, so this isn't a wedding reception. I don't know what this is. It must be I don't know. But I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's some sort of celebration that takes place around a wedding. Devon walked in a few minutes later, and everyone stood to clap. As the bridesmaids gathered for pictures, one of Devon's aunts tapped me on the shoulder. They're doing pictures, she said. Aren't you part of the bridal party? No, I'm just a friend, I replied awkwardly. Um, there's a little bit of telling here. Awkwardly, I replied awkwardly. Um, I guess, do you know you replied awkwardly, or did you feel awkward as you replied? How do you reply awkwardly? I don't really you know, I don't really know what that looks like. Um, so I felt awkward as I replied, or I felt awkward. No, I'm just a friend. Something like that. As the servers brought out the food, Devon's mother leaned over. So have you been dating anyone since Jason? She asked. At 32, I often found myself faced with some form of this question. A little here and there, I shrugged. So you haven't met anyone you really like? I shook my head. Not yet. Okay, this could benefit from, again, new paragraph with each new speaker, but it's okay. The dialogue works. It's natural. I could see people actually saying these things. Jessica writes dialogue really well. Devon's aunt sat on the other side of me. Since we were both teachers, we had a lot to talk about, but eventually the conversation shifted. Are you engaged? Have a boyfriend? She looked down at my left hand. No, I replied. She tilted her head and muttered, "Ah." Not long after, Devon's grandmother asked the same question for the rest of the table to hear. When I repeated my answer, I got similar pity-filled responses. I felt like the last dancer cut during tryouts for a major production. Okay, that's pretty good. Something that Jessica's done in a couple spots here is just included some extraneous details that don't really matter and are a little distracting. Like it really doesn't matter that Devon's aunt and Jessica are both teachers and that they had a lot to talk about. Um, I think it would be more powerful to just jump to the aunt again, asking the same question that the mother's already asked. There was something earlier who I knew from high school, but was never close with. That doesn't really matter. It clearly matters to Jessica, and it's an important part of her life story, but it doesn't matter to us as the readers, and it's a little distracting. So you might just leave those things out. Does it matter to the reader is a really good question to ask with things like that. Or are these just distracting details? After lunch, Devon began opening gifts. The ladies at my table talked about everything from ailments and medication to bingo in Vegas. That's really funny. Like, I can see that happening. Jessica's told us enough about these characters that I can imagine that happening. It is telling, but it's okay to not show that. I can just picture her at 32 with what I'm picturing some older women around the table talking about the things that they're talking about. I listened and contributed where I could, trying to keep my mind occupied because everything Devin opened reminded me of my life with Jason. All right, Jason's been mentioned a couple times, and I like again, she's not telling us a lot. She's leaving a bit of a mystery there, leaving us to figure it out. And I love that about this piece, how she's letting us figure things out for ourselves, or planting a mystery that never really gets resolved. We know there's something with this guy, Jason, but she never really wraps this up with a bow and resolves anything. She just kind of leaves it hanging there. And I really like that. And it's really well done because I'm sure she has a whole story about Jason that she wants to tell. But she very cleverly leaves it out of this piece and very appropriately. Embroidered bath towels. When we get married, I want everything to have a J on it. You want everything to have a J on it now. Long stem champagne glasses. What are we going to do with those? We can use them for decoration, but they're not functional, Jess. You always want things that have no function. And you think everything has to have a function. This is brilliant. I love this back and forth in her head that as Devin's opening the gifts, she's remembering scenes from her past, apparently. And now she's letting us know that her and Jason got to a point in their relationship where they were talking about things that they might register for their wedding, right? Which is just brilliant. It's really well done. A griddle. It's Saturday. You always wake up ready to go, but Jason's Saturday is big breakfast day. Okay, I'll get the griddle going. You start the pancakes. A toaster. We need a toaster oven. I don't understand how people get by without one. I know, Jess. I know. And so you're starting to get a sense of for their relationship. It's just really, really well done. Um, I just really hits me the way that she does that. I just want to thank everyone for coming today and for all the gifts. We're so lucky to have such wonderful people in our lives, Devin announced when she finally finished. Then she cut the cake. The servers passed around slices, but I ignored mine. Her son is single, Devin's mom motioned toward Devin's aunt as she scooped up a forkful of cake. If he doesn't bring a date to the wedding, we're going to get you together with him. Okay, so now I think I've finally figured out this must be some sort of a bridal shower, right? I think that's what it's called. Um, we're going to get you together with him. I smiled, and that, by the way, that doesn't matter. It doesn't. I don't want to know what it is. It's cool exactly how she did this. I was just letting you know my thought process. I smiled but didn't respond. I looked at Jackie, who was sitting next to Devin, laughing at something one of the other bridesmaids said. Then I looked at the empty seat at their table, occupied only by a cardigan the groom's sister played there during lunch. This table is for Devin and the bridesmaids only. 6 bridesmaids, 1 bride, 8 chairs. I love how she's left that detail out. Like she got told to go sit somewhere else, and then she never mentions that there was this empty seat, right? And now we learn that through all of this, she's been sitting there during the meal, and there's been an empty seat at the main table with, really well. She just leaves that out until the end and lets us discover that. Really well done. 6 bridesmaids, 1 bride, 8 chairs, and 1 solo dancer smiling tensely to fight back tears as she exits the stage. I cried the whole way home. That's fantastic. Emotional, kind of punches you in the gut. She doesn't go overboard with describing her feelings. She lets us sort of discover her feelings for ourselves. Really well done. Anyway, great piece by Jessica. Again, follow her on Medium. Check out her writing. She's really good. Couple things here and there that could make this piece even stronger, but it's really well done. All right. I'll put some notes in the comments on this video so you can see how to get your own review and see my coaching services, publications, all that stuff. So thanks. See you in the next video.